Hi, Greg Alderman. Welcome to One Voice Board. Today we're going to talk about principle number 5 of the principles of governance, big bowls before small bowls. Big bowls before small bowls. All right, I want to illustrate for you right away what I mean by this. And I'm going to use my little set of nesting dolls. And some of you are going to be offended by this nesting doll set. I'm just going to warn you in advance. It is a Los Angeles Lakers nesting doll set. And you'll see that the number 34, this is actually Shaquille O'Neal. This is from the 2000, 2001, 2002 Lakers era of nesting dolls. My friends in Sacramento are especially offended because of the 2002 series. In fact, if you want to tease them, ask any Sacramento Kings fan about 2002. But I digress. What do I mean by using these nesting dolls? Well, I had a friend actually give me these after hearing me teach this lesson. And the reason he did is because anybody who's ever played with Russian nesting dolls knows that each succeeding smaller set of the dolls needs to go within the larger one. And there's only one right way to put each and every one of the nesting dolls away so that they all fit within one within another. This is actually Karl Malone. He was on that team in 2004. And then Derek Fisher here, the little one. Now, if I don't put the nesting dolls back together in a specific order, they won't fit. And it's the same thing with bowls in your cupboard. All of us have arranged bowls in our cupboard. We've all tried to jam them in. And a lot of times you'll see that there's a way to get there by simply taking them out and rearranging how they fit one within another. Well, this is the metaphor, if you will, to how we need to approach our business as a board. The big bowls idea, the Shaquille O'Neal of the nesting dolls, if you will, is that the board needs to deal with the most important thing that only the board can do, and it needs to deal with it first before it moves on to smaller items. This is Kobe, right? And Kobe fits within Shaq. And so if I'm a church board, I want to deal with the more important item before I deal with the lesser important item. Now, let me say a couple things about this. Boards are notorious for being micromanagers, getting into the weeds, getting into the details, especially if they fall into the trap of being management boards. They want to give approval to every plan that the staff has. They want to hear detailed reports about everything taking place. And part of the reason for that is because board members are conscientious. And in the lack of understanding what their job actually is, they will create one. And if they're not taught what the job actually is, they'll create one in terms of command and control, something that comes out of our nature. Hey, I'm supposed to be the boss here, so I should be controlling what's happening. But the actual role of the board is to dictate, if you will, to decide on what are we doing as a church? What is our mission? What are the immediate, most important action steps we need to take as a church right now, together as a body? And when the pastor and the board deliberate together and they decide on what those mission principles are and then what those immediate action steps are, the board then needs to hold the pastor accountable to accomplish those things. If you haven't watched the video Spears Up, Spears Out, I detail how that concept works. It fits nicely with big bowls before small bowls. This idea that I need to be focused on the main thing is what this principle is all about. Let me give you an example from Scripture. In Acts chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, there's a conflict that arose between widows, Grecian widows and Jewish widows. And the conflict arose because some of the widows were getting cared for and some weren't. And this conflict got so serious that it rose to the attention of the apostles. And we're told that the apostles decided to create this office of deacon in order to deal with the issue. One of the words that's used that's often not understood in context is the apostles said, we don't want to get into waiting on tables because our job is to do the ministry of the word and prayer. And what do they mean by that? Waiting on tables. They weren't degrading the job. They weren't saying it wasn't important. What they were saying is we need to keep our eye on the most important thing and recruit and equip others to do these other aspects of the ministry. You see, the role of the deacon was created so that the apostles could stay focused on the biggest bull. Where is God leading us as a church? That was their question then. And they needed to stay focused on being prayerful together about it and reflecting on Scripture together and teaching the apostles' teaching so that others could then do that other work of the ministry. This is harder than it sounds because it is very easy to get involved in trivial pursuit, to chase less important items. But when a board is healthy, it is constantly reflecting on what are we called to do and are we doing it? That's where most of your time as a board should be spent. One of the reflections you can have even as you watch this video is that what my board does? Hey, if you want to talk more about this, I would love to visit with you. Reach out to me at greg@onevoiceboard.org and we can have a chat.